at Husker Harvest Days. We go from one set to another. We bounced over here to DTN as we prepare to talk all things markets with DTN Analyst. That is Todd Hultman. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, Bryce. Nice to see you, and always good to be back in Grand Island.
You mentioned this as we were talking. There's always kind of a theme around farm shows, and it's often talking about the low in the market. Doesn't make for a lot of optimism as people kick the tires on new equipment, does it?
No, I get to have these face-to-face interactions with farmers at probably the worst time of the year in terms of prices. We're always near the harvest lows. It's true again this year, but it's been one of the tougher summers we've seen for prices in a long time.
I always like to try to set the stage for our viewers of the factors that are influencing the market right now and where things might be going. We look at over the summer, what was kind of maybe two or three of the biggest reasons why the markets are currently where they're trading?
Yeah, factor number one, we've had very good weather over most growing areas throughout the Corn Belt. I think there's no argument about that. We've got some of the best soil moisture profiles across the Midwest we've seen in at least 4 years, maybe a little longer. I still have a little bit of reticence on the production estimate because we had such severe weather earlier in the year. We've talked to guys here that have been hit by hail. We had flooding up in South Dakota where I am that stretched over into Minnesota. So we do have pockets of damage, but overall, you can't deny it's a good crop this year.
How does the demand picture look? We continue to talk about that. People optimistic prices will go up. We'll point to that. Is it improving over the past month or so?
Yeah, when you see prices this low, one thing you want to see is a good demand response, and we're really seeing that. In corn, export sales are up significantly from a year ago. Our new crop sales are off to a good start. The ethanol margins are very good right now. If you can't make money with prices under $4 on corn, something's wrong there. Similarly, on soybeans, the crush margins, the domestic demand side, very strong. That continues to hold up very well. And we just have the one possible negative in soybeans is the possibility of record crop coming from Brazil following our U.S. here at home. So that's the one thing hanging over those export sales a bit.
Something I've heard a lot of analysts talk about is what's going to happen with the U.S. election, of course, and China comes into play there. We've seen them return to the marketplace, particularly for soybeans.
Yeah, well, it's that time of year. Just in the past month, we've seen a big swing in the soybean price difference between us and Brazil. We're now about 95 cents a bushel cheaper on the November contracts for soybean prices. So we've seen a nice pickup in our soybean export sales for the new season just the past few weeks. We've seen that come into play, and we should have a good window of opportunity here that continues until Brazil's crop starts to get harvested in late January.
What's the phrase? The cure for low prices is low prices?
Yes, and often I've hated that, but there definitely is some truth to it. And I would also say the cure for low prices is just some normal volatility. Even in bearish surplus years like we have, prices just don't go down and sit there. There's all sorts of factors, and as we move from season to season, our focus changes. So when we get out of this harvest period, we get corn and soybeans stored away and start to look a little and give more appreciation to these demand factors. I think we'll have some better price opportunities.
What's your gut tell you? I guess you're kind of alluding to it, but do you think the low is in the rearview mirror at this point for corn and soybeans?
For corn, yes. I do think the August lows are in, is my best guess there. On soybeans, we could test that August low again, maybe even dip below it a little bit. But I definitely think we are very close to long-term support on both prices.
We're talking about South America. Remind me of the timeline of some of the things as the traders will look at it. When do they begin to really put a focus on what's going to happen there?
Sure. So Argentina farmers are starting to plant their corn right now. And it's probably going to be a smaller crop this year because they have leaf hopper problems. They had damage last year, and it looks like that infestation has spread even larger this year. So we've talked to some Argentine farmers recently, and they think their corn acres are going to be down this year. In Brazil, where the big competition comes from, they typically get their soybeans planted about late September, but they've got to wait for that rainy season to come in. They're coming off of a very dry several-month period. They're in extreme drought right now. A lot of their rivers are suffering low water level problems. So they really need the new rainy season to show up. And so far, that's not in the forecast. So we may have a little excitement there this fall.
USDA report coming out on Thursday. It's tricky with our timing of our recording right now, but you pointed something out to me about USDA being in the field surveying, get some real data of what's happening. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is the first time they're going to actually obtain yield data from the fields as they normally do, but it's September when they come up with that. So they will add that to the mix and also to their production surveys and other information that they take in to make their estimates. I would like to point out that the August and September USDA reports don't have a very good history of making production estimates yet, but when you get to the month of October, then that has a history of a much stronger production estimate, and we'll have to have a little more respect for that one.
Well, congratulations are in order for you. I'm sure a lot of people have been coming up to you at Farm Progress, now Husker Harvest Days, because you announced your retirement last month. You're still here lending some help for DTN.
I did.
Congratulations, though, on that
Well,
decision.
thank you, Bryce. I appreciate that. I am retiring. I'm not dying. I will still find plenty of things to do, but my time here is almost to an end.
This might be the final time we talk here on Market Journal. You've been very generous with your time over many years, so on behalf of our entire team, thanks for what you're doing and for spreading the message of what's happening and try to shed a light on the truth behind the markets.
Well, thank you for a fantastic show and serving the folks in Nebraska, which near and dear to my heart. This is my home state.